every project that the Adani Foundation designs and implements is strategically aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And this really helps us to address the pressing issues in India. We are able to incorporate the 3 Ps in our work, and these are the people, planet, and prosperity.
We have with us Dr. Priti G. Adani. She's the chairperson of Adani Foundation. Dr. Priti G. Adani is a doctor by qualification and an educationist by passion. She has been spearheading numerous social development initiatives in India as Adani Foundation's chairperson for more than 2 decades. Adani Foundation is the CSR arm of Adani Group, a diversified organization headquartered in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Under her leadership, a 350-member, strong team of development professionals is working towards upliftment of the society's underprivileged sections. Today, the Foundation's reach covers 3.7 million people across 16 Indian states, making constructive efforts in the core areas of education, health, sustainable livelihoods, and community infrastructure development. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much. It's also a pleasure for me to be here.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, to begin with the questions, our first question is, ma'am, we know you come from a science background with a degree in Bachelors in dental surgery. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and what brought you into the CSR space.
Yeah, you are right. I'm a doctor by qualification, and academics was always given a lot of importance in my family. And hence I went on to pursue my interests in medicine and I became a dentist. But what I really believe is that education is just an enabler to succeed. So with education, one is empowered to navigate the course in which their interests are. But ultimately it's their inner calling which defines where the person really wants to go and in which space they succeed in life. If you talk about me, in my case, I had 2 distinct opportunities. The obvious one was to start my own medical practice in a dental clinic. But around the same time, the Adani Group's first port in Mudra was taking shape. And I chose to go with my instinct, to work with the communities around the Mundra port. And here I am today.
That's beautiful, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing that. Gives us a brief glimpse into your journey. Moving on to a second question, we know that you're also working across different thematic areas. How is Adani Foundation contributing to the global agenda of sustainable development goals and the call to action of leaving no one behind?
So Astha, every project that the Adani Foundation designs and implements is strategically aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And this really helps us to address the pressing issues in India, which are like poverty, illiteracy, and it also brings a global perspective, such as human rights or rights of indigenous people into focus. As a result of this alignment, we are able to incorporate the 3 Ps in our work, and these are the people, planet, and prosperity.
That's beautiful, ma'am. And actually the entire, concept of sustainable development is to be based around people, planet, and prosperity. Thank you for capturing that in your, answer to us. Now, since the inception of Adani Foundation in 1996, what changes has the organization seen over the years? What major changes have occurred in your strategy and approach towards working with the community and uplifting them?
Like any other organization, we started small. We worked in the areas of education and health and had a presence in only a couple of villages. Initially, we were just a 2-member team, and I myself would travel to Mundra frequently. Mundra is still very much our karma bhumi, as that is where the Adani Foundation journey, it really began. So in terms of human years, you can say that the Adani Foundation is a young adult now, a living, thriving being which has evolved. It has evolved physically and intellectually. And I say this today because today we have more than 350 full-time professionals on board. Their work covers more than 2,400 villages across 16 states in India. And that itself is very gratifying to see that this capacity that we have built over the years is helping the foundation to reach out more than 3.7 million Indians annually. Through the years, our fundamental strategy has been the bottom-up tactical approach. We rely on need assessment and then work with definite goals. We work with the goals not only to uplift the communities, but to become partners. And partnering with them, partnering with the government, and partnering with other like-minded organizations. In this way, we ensure the holistic development and change. In fact, partnership also has become a key strategic pillar and it guides our work. So partnership, I believe, also adds immense value in the social development. Other than that, in the recent years, we are also leveraging technology to be able to reach out the maximum number of people in the most marginalized communities.
That's some amazing number. And in fact, we see that organizations are working tirelessly to uplift the, marginalized communities in the country. However, with the COVID coming in, there have been many challenges for the organizations in the country. We would like to know, how did COVID impact other projects and the on-ground interventions carried out by Adani Foundation? And what strategies did you adopt to cope with these challenges?
So like every human being on this planet, COVID had some impact and it really disrupted the way that things were happening. So when initially the pandemic, it brought us to a pause. It was a very transient pause. So even then we started with the relief works, which were in full swing at that time. Our foot soldiers on ground, they were supporting the frontline workers by relaying awareness, making and distributing masks, ration, food packets, running community kitchens. In the second wave, the foundation did phenomenal work to supplement the government's efforts in ensuring that oxygen supply is not disrupted. So this was by providing cylinders, installing oxygen tanks, some oxygen generating plants at various hospitals, various locations. And in each and every small way, we tried to, help the government meet this huge calamity. It even helped us we also helped to set up temporary COVID care centers in various locations like Noida and Krishnapatnam. Our hospital in Mundra, the Adani Hospital in Mundra, the Adani Games Hospital in Bhuj were converted into COVID care hospitals. And over and above, our schools, the Adani Vidya Mandir in Ahmedabad, as well as Krishnapatnam, they were also converted to COVID care centers. On the other hand, as far as our projects are concerned, the CSR teams were very quick to, identify opportunities and, adapt to the challenges. They found ways to continue their operations. The senior management was also very enthusiastic to, use technology and find a way so that, we continue with our work. The most crucial work was to ensure that education and skill development programs were adapted to online learning. So eventually, the in-person learning was introduced. Of course, is a hybrid model. Still, we can see that schools are not, open completely. Some they're partially opened, or sometimes they opened. We have to shut down again, like what happens in January. But ultimately, this is how we are trying to strive and combat all the difficulties that we are facing due to COVID. In COVID, I would like to narrate this example of our project Utthan, and how we, in the COVID situation also ensure that learning continues. So Utthan is a project where we are working with the government schools in various villages, and our Utthan Sahayaks are nominated to ensure the improvement of the quality of these schools, quality of education in these schools, also ensuring more attendance, less dropouts, and overall better rating of these schools. So in COVID, when the schools were shut down, our Utthan Sahayaks reached out to the remote villages of Gujarat. They as the project caters to progressive learners, they reached out to these progressive learners. Almost 700 progressive learners were benefited through the village schools, which were happening under a tree in the village. Due to this, other students in the neighborhood, they also benefited, so as they would also join the home visit classes. So actually, to see these kind of efforts that the Utthan Sahayaks had put in, it was really a matter of pride for our organization, to take the schooling to the, remotest part and to the home of, especially where the children were slow learners or lagging behind, Another important area of work was to ensure that the healthcare and nutrition needs are, met through the mobile healthcare units. And in this period, we introduced telecounseling. So following the COVID protocols, we continued to execute our projects. Our Suposhan Sanginis from the project Suposhan, they provided vital support and reliable resources of information through their telephone consultations and door-to-door visits. So this actually helped to fill the gaps of the public health facilities, which were already, overstretched. And when, the factories and service industries were closed due to the COVID restrictions, we came across opportunities in agriculture, animal husbandry, and home-based enterprises. And these enterprises really helped the rural population to sustain. They proved to be, the alternate livelihoods in true sense. So looking back, I think we were more active than ever. The pandemic is still far from over, but we are really learning along this way, how to be adaptive, to be resilient, and more importantly, to be sensitive to what we are facing individually and collectively.
100% agree with you on that, ma'am. In fact, it's pretty much evident from what you said, the kind of different thematic programs that you have in place, the understanding of the community that you have with you. And it clearly depicts the stronghold that you have in the communities in terms of catering to their needs. Now, you mentioned Suposhan Sanginis. How do these women address the problem of malnutrition and anemia? And who are the main beneficiaries of this project?
So Fortune Suposhan is a very unique community-based nutrition intervention. Through this project, we target the burning problem of malnutrition. We target the intergenerational cycle of malnutrition. So the main beneficiaries, they are adolescent girls, pregnant women, lactating mothers, and infants from 0 to 5 years of age. So the basic idea of this program is to prevent malnutrition and anemia from appearing and reappearing, and to ensure that it doesn't get passed on from one generation to the next. So the project Suposhan we launched in 2016. We piloted in 276 villages across 8 states of India. The phenomenal success that we got in the first phase of this project, that gave us the confidence that yes, we should expand this project. So we expanded it in the second phase to cover 1,200 villages, and then eventually 105 urban slums. And we took over the entire tribal district of Narmada, which is an aspirational district in Gujarat. So under this project, what do? So we choose women from the community, slightly educated girls or women from within that community. We train them. These women, they go under 2 to 3 levels of training to become Suposhan Sanginis. Then they ultimately strike a fine balance between the preventive and curative treatments, addressing malnourishment. So during the training, they learn how to, identify malnourished children, how to take anthropometric measurements, how to read the various parameters to identify malnourishment and anemia in women, in girls. They use the IC material, the educational material, to guide them, to educate them, bring them awareness on the most important issues of which will cause malnutrition. So focus is on real-time monitoring of the children's progress on the nutritional status. The severely malnourished children, when they are identified, which we call SAM, severely acute malnourished children, they are referred to the nearest NRCs, that the nutritional rehabilitation centers, which are set up by the government. And because they are referred at a timely manner, we can see that the progress and their bouncing back to the normal status is quite fast. The Sanginis, they talk to adolescent girls, they have focus group discussions, they create awareness towards hygiene, good nutrition, maternal care, and all other such aspects. The most important part, is that Sanginis, they become a reliable guide, like, as the word says, the Sangini, so they are change agents, they are the go-to person in that village. So they become, reliable guides to address the causes which are bothering these children or women. They ensure that the pregnancy is smooth, the delivery is institutional, there are right breastfeeding practices, and, it's a whole, composite program which addresses the minutest issue which can lead to malnutrition in a child. It is very interesting that they, actually also insist on healthy eating habits. They have created a beautiful recipe book, and by just, choosing things which are grown in the nearby vicinity, they demonstrate how to cook nutritious meals, which includes micronutrients too. Another part of this program Suposhan is the promotion of kitchen garden, because as we know that every household, especially the kind of households that we are working with, may not be able to afford expensive vegetables from the market. So growing different vegetables, especially green leafy vegetables in their backyards, is what is, we promote, we encourage, and we support. The overall result of all these, interventions is really very encouraging. As of today, we have been able to reach out more than 1.5 million people in the most, remotest parts of our country. more than 34,000 malnourished children, they have been brought to healthy nutritional levels. What is more gratifying to us is, that this is a knowledge-based behavioral change. It promotes local, sustainable diet. It is instilled in the beneficiaries by someone they already know. It is a member from their own community. And the reason why this project has been able to create a sustainable change is that, it focuses on capacity building and behavior change.
I'm very true there. First of all, the kind of programs that you have created to deal with the giant of malnutrition in the country, it's absolutely applaudable. You mentioned about the capacity building. On this note of capacity building, can you tell us a little bit about the project Saksham and what role Adani Skill Development Centers are playing in skilling the youth?
So Adani Saksham is again another flagship program, and it is addressing the problem of unemployment in the youth. We are addressing this problem by bridging the gap of skills, providing skill development opportunities which can make them employable. The program Saksham is aligned. We are aligned with the government Skill India mission. We also partner with the National Skill Development Corporation, and hence it's a very credible, program. The certificates are also certified by NSDC. So on one hand, what we see is that India is striving to make primary education, secondary education, higher education accessible and available to all. But skilling and upskilling, it gives the youth an opportunity to be employed. We also see how in the NEP to 2020, the National Education Policy, it also suggests that, there's a due importance of vocational and skill-based education. So we have across the country, we have over 30 centers, and we have so far trained and placed 85,000 candidates. Now, there are various, trades. We have almost, 50 plus different courses. And 58% of our candidates are women. So, this is also a very unique opportunity that we saw, that in our country, there is a large population of women who are not in the income generation category. And some courses like, beauty therapist, general duty assistant, they are, very popular among women, and immediately they start, either they start their own enterprises, or, they work somewhere in hospitals or small nursing homes and start earning like more than 15,000 a month is like, the starting. So this is a very popular course amongst women. Tailoring again is also a very popular course. You will be surprised to know that, the girls of Chhattisgarh who are trained at our Adani Skill Development Center on tailoring and stitching, they are working in the garment industry in Bangalore. And it is such a transformation to see these, groups of girls suddenly getting so much of exposure and being self-reliant at such a young age. The digital literacy courses, of course, are very beneficial. They are beneficial to all age groups. We have some courses where we are also, we are providing very unique way of teaching, like in terms of like the crane operator training, in that we have a simulator. So the student learns on the simulator how to operate a crane. For welding, we use artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence and the augmented reality platform to teach the welding. So now we saw that we need to have also an online platform. That is what COVID again taught us, that to continue to impart the skilling to the youth, we introduced a learning management system. And this helped us seamless online learning. And we created a hybrid model where for the practicals purpose, that students came to the facilities and we could manage it with appropriate COVID protocols. And ultimately, we could continue imparting skills to the youth. So India's strength, is the young population. And I'm very excited to see what the future really holds for our, tech savvy and industry ready youth.
Thank you, ma'am, for summing up that very beautifully. To conclude this session, what is the one advice that you would like to give to the youth of this country?
Well, my advice to the younger generation is that, they should not restrict their learning to education. Education, school education, college education is important. But what is really even more important is to continue to be a learner, to keep learning, and it should be a lifelong process. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for giving us such an insightful session. I'm sure many organizations, many individuals in the developmental space will really benefit from this conversation. Thank you for taking out your time for this session. We wish you all the very best.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here today. Thank you.